Okay, so we're diving into this really fascinating situation in Puerto Rico today. You sent over some sources, and honestly, the big surprise isn't like the usual political money trail.
No, it's quite different.
It seems to be about pop culture somehow undermining the independence movement. Our mission here is to unpack how these geopolitical, financial, and cultural factors are hitting the credibility of the PIP, the Independence Party, and specifically its leader, Juan Dalmau.
Exactly. And what's really striking is how opponents are using association as a weapon. It's not about proving direct criminal links.
Like those really extreme claims, the ones about the Cartel de las Soles.
Right, those unsubstantiated sort of fringe allegations linking Dalmau to that Venezuelan drug group.
Mm.
The real leverage, the documented stuff, comes from financial threads, but through, a cultural bridge.
Okay, so let's zero in on that. You're talking about the record label of, global superstar Bad Bunny.
Yes, Remus Entertainment.
And that label supports Dalmau's Alianza political coalition. So the argument is that this cultural capital, that's the risk vector. Why is a record label link so explosive right now?
Well, because the connections, they point towards the Venezuelan regime. Remus Entertainment has these verifiable links.
Okay, like what specifically?
For instance, one of Remus's co-founders, Rafael Ricardo Jimenez Gan, he was actually a vice minister under Hugo Chavez. That sets up a pretty clear institutional connection right there.
The former government official. Okay.
And then there's this other piece, a public allegation, mind you, but it's out there, about a $2 million investment.
$2 million into Remus.
Into Remus, yeah. From someone reportedly very close to Nicolás Maduro.
Okay, it's an allegation, but still, even if true, couldn't that just be seen as, a risky foreign investment? Happens all the time, right?
Politically, it's perceived as much more. It creates this proximity between Dalmau's movement and capital that's seen as compromised by a regime hostile to the U.S.
So it introduces a national security angle.
Precisely. The perceived influence isn't coming through a typical campaign donation. It's through cultural reach, through association with a huge star whose platform has these alleged financial ties.
And that's powerful.
Extremely. It weaponizes that fear of foreign interference so effectively that apparently there was even a recommendation for the FBI to look into Remus Entertainment for potential national security risks.
Wow. Okay, so how does this financial shadow, this association, get used in the ideological battle against the PIP?
It's about labels, isolation tactics. You look at the PIP platform, it's focused on things like self-determination, healthcare, pretty standard social democratic ideas, really.
Kind of like center-left European parties.
Exactly. But opponents consistently slap the communist label on them.
Yeah.
It's a rhetorical tool, right? Designed to cut the movement off from any potential support, legislative or financial, from the U.S. mainland.
And this plays out very starkly at the University of Puerto Rico, UPR?
Oh, absolutely. UPR is this historic center for anti-colonial thought. And you have these legitimate student grievances about austerity, massive tuition hikes. Real anger there.
Right. Protests against huge increases, like up to 175%.
Yes. But here's the paradox, the UPR paradox, you could call it. The university's stability, student grants, a lot of its funding, depends heavily on U.S. federal money.
So opponents grab onto that.
They seize it. They reframe those genuine anti-austerity protests as anti-American indoctrination. And that gives them the justification, rhetorically at least, to threaten cutting off those vital federal funds.
Turning an economic issue into a loyalty test.
Exactly. A domestic debate becomes about foreign allegiance.
So pulling this all together, what's the real lasting impact on Juan Dalmau's political credibility here?
Well, the damage isn't really coming from proving any direct crime. It's the political weight of this persistent Venezuelan shadow. It almost doesn't matter if Dalmau himself strongly denies any direct ties to Maduro.
Because the association is enough.
If the cultural platform boosting his movement, Bad Bunny's whole sphere of influence is perceived as financially linked, even just allegedly linked, to Maduro-connected funds, the political hit is already taken. The association sticks.
So connecting this to the bigger picture then, this suggests any future push for a Puerto Rican self-determination, any move towards independence, or even just more autonomy.
It won't be seen just as a local political choice. It'll immediately be framed as a strategic geopolitical vulnerability.
A weak spot the U.S. rivals could exploit.
Precisely. And regimes like Maduro's in Venezuela, they understand this dynamic. They seem prepared to potentially exploit these financial and cultural connections, which basically guarantees continued political turbulence for the island down the road.
Yeah.
It makes the whole situation incredibly volatile.